Well, Rahman and Rahman was started in 1988. I had just returned from the US after getting my master's degree in orthodontics, and I came back to Pakistan full of energy and was offered a job at the dental school at De Montmorency College. My evenings were still wide open, so I wanted to practice all my skills that I had learned there. My father offered me his house to practice in, so it was just a decision taken over a few days, and I went into starting my dental practice. There were a lot of key players in it. My parents, my friends, family, and Dr. Chima, who was the principal of De Montmorency College. He helped me a lot in building up my practice. So that's how Rahman and Rahman was started, and many changes happened after that. So, after I started Rahman and Rahman, during this time I was married and I had children. My firstborn had an accident at the time of birth, and we realized that there was no way to educate him here. So by then I had two children, so the three of us moved to the US. Now when we moved there, I put them in their respective schools, and I thought I should be doing something myself. So I got another degree, which is called the DDS, which is another training in dentistry, but it was like 12 years later. So there were all the modern techniques and equipment and skills that I learned over there. And after I finished, I would come back to Rahman and Rahman, which was still running by my colleagues, and would teach my colleagues all the new skills, all the new developments in dentistry. And I must say that they picked up on it, and Rahman kept booming. But during this time, while I was in the US, my Rahman and Rahman was hijacked, and my colleagues had taken over without telling me and totally banned my entry into my own practice, because they had changed the name. They had bought, by changing the name, they must have bribed somebody to change the name. By the ownership of Rahman and Rahman was transferred to my colleagues. Anyway, I'm not the one to give up. So I stopped coming here. I was not allowed to come into the practice and treat patients. Patients were told that I don't want to come. So anyway, it's a long story. I don't want to get into that. But then when my youngest son showed an interest in dentistry and ultimately became a dentist, we became a team again, and the emergence of Rahman and Rahman, the premier, came up. And I'm proud to say that my son is better than his parents in dentistry. This is his mojo. He gives everything of himself to make this into a successful practice, not only for the patients, but his outreach programs for the have-nots has a big role to play in his practice of dentistry. And this is the beginning of Rahman and Rahman, the premier, and the story begins from here. Rahman and Rahman, the premier, is owned by me and my son, Dr. Aleem Rahman.